This is Rodney Dekas, just realizing that his own son had just committed one of the most atrocious crimes possible.
Oh my God, please hurry. There's something wrong with my son. Please hurry. But my son's wife is dead.
Unfortunately for these poor parents, the details of the crime are even worse than they could have imagined.
Yeah, she was just brutally decapitated. She's got stab wounds to her back. Her head's in the bathtub. I mean, it's
I got as far as the doorway. I didn't.
Yeah, don't go in. This is a murder scene.
What begins as a bloody and chaotic crime scene quickly spirals into an investigation that exposes a despicable truth. One so twisted and unexpected it will haunt family, detectives, and everyone touched by the case for the remainder of their lives.
Stepped in further, and I could see the rest of the body, and then I realized the patient did not have a head.
Rodney Dekas is taking an afternoon nap after a late night at work when he is woken up by a loud argument between his wife, Lynn, and their 21-year-old son, Jared. Lynn notices that the phone Jared is holding is not his. It belongs to his wife, Angie Diaz. Jared looks distraught as if something terrible had happened. Seeing this, Rodney quickly puts on his shoes and runs to the cabin house in the back of the property to check on Angie. That's when he makes a discovery that will ruin his family's life forever.
Oh my God, please hurry. There's something wrong with my son. Please hurry. Yes, ma'am. My name is Rodney Dekas. I need an ambulance and police at 2060 College Boulevard. Please.
Okay, what's going on?
I don't know everything, but my son's wife is dead. Please.
Okay.
Somebody, please, I'll stay on the phone with
Okay, are you on location right now?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, I am. Oh my God.
Okay.
In an alarming 911 call to the Waller County Emergency, Rodney reports he found his son's wife, Angie, dead. In the next few minutes, while the dispatcher is attempting to calm him, she is also gathering as many details as possible for the police, who are already on their way. These details could be crucial as the victim may still be alive, or worse, the perpetrator might be on the scene and still dangerous. What the dispatcher will find next about Rodney's son will give key details towards the investigation.
Told her 9 times to hurry up. I told her what, man? Move this vehicle now. I'm gonna. Oh my God! I told him in the hospital to keep him. Oh my God! I told him that. I told him that 2 days ago to keep him. Ma'am, I need
Yes, sir.
somebody.
I know they're coming. They're coming. I promise you, they're coming. Okay, just stay on the phone with me. Okay, so your son, you said the female's husband, correct? He was in the hospital a couple days ago?
Yes, ma'am. Sunday night.
Okay. And you said he was hearing things?
He said he was hearing things. Not me, him.
Right.
He was sick.
And they sent him home?
Yes, they sent him home. They said he was fine. I told him he wasn't.
What is his name?
Jared.
Rodney reveals that his son, Jared, had been hospitalized for drug use just a few days prior and that he wasn't well. At this stage, it remains unclear how this relates to the investigation, but Rodney seemed eager to mention it during his call. Were drugs involved in this crime, and could Angie be a victim of something going wrong? These are all questions in the back of Officer Lewis's head as he arrives at the crime scene 10 minutes later. He needs to find out what happened immediately and to eliminate any potential threat. What he finds next might be the most disturbing thing, even for an experienced officer like himself, he has ever seen.
Yeah, she was just brutally decapitated. She's got stab wounds to her back. Her head's in the bathtub. I mean, it's a.
So redhead?
No, she's dark Hispanic.
No. The one you got detained, old redheaded boy.
Yeah. I got as far
Sergeant.
I got as far as the doorway. I didn't.
Yeah, don't go in. This is a murder scene. Decapitation. It's an ugly spot.
I didn't get any further than that.
Up here?
Yeah.
Blake said her head is somewhere else in the tub. Okay.
As Officer Lewis flashes his flashlight in the way of the body, he discovers something out of a horror film. The victim's head is missing. On the ground, in a deep pool of blood, lies the headless body of Angie Diaz, covered in red towels and rags. According to the emergency responders, she was stabbed multiple times and ultimately decapitated. The murder was so brutal that blood splatters can be found meters away, including on the walls, bed sheets, and desk. On the desk, investigators also find a bloody pack of cigarettes and cigarette butts. The killer had clearly taken the time to smoke after the crime. Right near the body, the bloody knife can be found, which was used for the murder and decapitation. From the body onwards, bloody footsteps can be seen leading into the bathroom, and what is found there is the most disturbing part of the crime scene. The killer had taken time to play around and wash her hair. Upon discovering the crime scene, Officer Lewis quickly takes the opportunity and interviews the Decas family. As he approaches the mother for an interview, she will reveal something the officer could not have anticipated.
And Jared. They were woke up from a nap because they worked last night and they have to go to work again. Or not now. Because he works nights.
Okay.
And my husband was helping him out last night. So he told me it happened this morning.
Who told you?
Jared.
Okay.
And he has been acting really strange lately.
Okay.
He called an ambulance on himself the other night.
Okay.
And said he was on drugs, but I don't believe that he was. I think something's wrong.
Okay.
Because I don't know. We don't have the labs from the hospital, so
Okay.
I really don't know the answer to that.
Yes, ma'am.
Lynn confirms Rodney's story from the 911 call that drugs were involved and that Jared was not feeling good. Both of their stories seem to allude to something much darker. Could Jared be somehow responsible for this? Could he know something that the parents are too afraid to say? It is at this point that Officer Lewis identifies Jared as a primary suspect in this case, and while Lewis interviews the family, Jared is detained. But to find the missing pieces of this crime, he digs deeper.
Mr. Dacus. Randy Lewis, you remember me?
I know you.
Okay. I just need to get a little, I'm basically just identifying folks here.
Yes, sir.
Do you know these folks, Judge? Okay. Miss Angie, do you know what her last name was before she and your brother got married?
What's Angie's last name? Do you know?
Sure.
Her maiden last name.
I don't know that.
I don't know.
Okay. You wouldn't happen to know Miss Angie's maiden name? They said your wife's
Diaz.
Diaz?
D-I-A-Z.
Rodney seems absolutely devastated by the loss of his daughter-in-law, while on the other hand, Jared is currently sitting detained in the back of a police car. As Officer Lewis identifies the victim as a 21-year-old cashier, Angie Diaz, he now has enough evidence to continue the investigation. And despite the initial evidence pointing in Jared's direction, Officer Lewis cannot jump to conclusions and outright accuse him. At this point, anything could have happened. But one thing is for sure, drugs were involved in some way. But the Decas parents' statements and the preliminary evidence are still enough to place Jared right in the middle of this crime.
We come here all the time. I don't know if I told y'all, but Mama, when I was just visiting with Mama, she said, Jared told me this happened this morning.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Well, if he's been in the house since 12:30, then yeah, he probably, they said they got home at like 4 a.m. So from 4 a.m. to 12:30 is our window of when this happened.
Daddy gave consent.
Yeah,
He's acting squirrely.
He is acting squirrely.
And I don't want us to be halfway in there and him say, get out of my house.
Okay.
So I'm just, since I've
Yes,
got to
ma'am.
write a PC affidavit anyway for the back
All right.
house.
Okay, I just wanted
I can write the same
for
PC
future reference.
affidavit.
Yes, sir.
So this is what I'm thinking. I will go back to the office. I'll start the search warrant. And then y'all can start bringing mom, suspect, dad, not necessarily in that order to me, and I will start doing the interviews there.
Okay.
The woman is one of the lead detectives for this case, Rachel Bayani, and Jared can already be seen arrested at the back of a police car. Officers have gathered crucial evidence already. The crime happened between 4 a.m. and 12:30 p.m., with the mom stating that Jared said it happened in the morning. This already raises more suspicion, as it means he took over 4 hours to report what he found. Officer Lewis also notes that the dad is acting extremely concerned, as if he might know something that he hasn't said yet, possibly in relation to the drug problem. But what officers will discover later is that the killer is way closer than anyone could imagine. With all the evidence gathered at the crime scene, Detective Bayani orders officers to interview anyone related to the family. So far, Jared seems like the primary suspect, but besides a few vague statements from his parents and the fact that he did not report Angie's death immediately after discovery, there is no serious evidence to suggest he was actually involved. With that in mind, investigators will get on the job and explore the crime scene, trying to find any DNA linked to the knife or the cigarette butts. The evidence they find could prove crucial. What follows are the thorough interrogations of the Decas family, Angie's family, and Angie's co-workers, which will slowly reveal bits and pieces and expose the whole case in a completely unexpected direction.
Viene un momento donde vivía yo con mi hermana Libertad.
She lived with your sister, Libertad.
Es ahí donde las dos somos la mamá. Yo salgo a trabajar y ella la cuida. Es ahí donde pues regreso a este país a trabajar para mantener a mi niña, enviando ya el dinero para solventar su gasto, su alimento. Mi hermana continúa cuidándola. Entonces, dejando yo los dos niños varones con la mamá de su papá, mi ex suegra. Y la niña, pues nunca la separé de mi hermana.
¿Cuándo trajo a Angie para acá, para los Estados Unidos?
Angie sale como, bueno, la fecha exacta no la recuerdo, pero fue antes de cumplir los 18, en el 2019. Cumplió 18, creo que fue el 19. Ella cumple el 21 de octubre, no sé si fue el 20 de octubre que salió o el 19, exactamente no lo recuerdo.
Más o menos la fecha del cumpleaños de ella.
No me acuerdo si cumplió en el camino los 18 años o lo cumplió
llegando acá.
Ajá.
One of the first people to step into the interrogation room is Angie's biological mother, Dania, shining a light on why her young daughter ended up in the United States when she was actually born in Nicaragua. The actual mom for Angie was her sister who raised her. But what Dania reveals next shows just how quickly a Texas family reunion spiraled into distance, tension, and a fractured bond that now matters in this investigation.
Luego pues vivimos en Houston. Y lo que a ella le preocupaba era que ella venía con sueños, ella quería inmediatamente trabajar, ella quería inmediatamente que trabajáramos, que pagáramos, que esto, que lo otro. Entonces yo le decía que tuviera paciencia, que se dedicara a su tiempo, que ella trabajaba, que Dios iba a dar el trabajo, que no solo teníamos un carro y eso se me hacía difícil. La relación entre mi hija y yo cambió bastante después que ella llegó.
Her relationship
mucho
changed.
Era más distante.
A lot. Very distant when she got here.
Quería saber qué le sucedía.
She wanted to know what was going on.
Ya no, poco a poco se iba comunicando conmigo y ella quería que la respetara.
Within weeks of living in the States, the clash was obvious, which forced Angie to seek support elsewhere, in the homes of relatives who were able to document her story more closely. One of them was her uncle Irvin, who was by Angie's side when she first started talking to Jared. Now that his niece is dead, he's trying to make sense of the situation through a series of small observations. What he reveals next could easily make the detectives, or anyone listening, question if Jared is even capable of such a crime in the first place.
But anyways, they got married. She was happy. She showed us the certificate and all of that kind of stuff. It was after they met, it was after they got married that he finally came home, and we met him, and he showed he was a very respectful young person, well dressed, decent dressed, always clean. Would always shake our hand, and he was very quiet though. That's one thing. He was very quiet, but perhaps because we were new and he didn't. Right. There was no confidence between us and him. I remember we made a steak, and he complimented how good the meat was tasty. And but he only took a one bite out of the whole steak, and then he just pushed it off. And then, you know, it was a moment of joy, my kids laughing, and Angie would always make her jokes. And but it's hard because we're Hispanic, so we were making our jokes, and I was the only one that could translate everything. But sometimes I would get distracted, and I would stop translating everything what was going on to him, and I think he felt uncomfortable, and he stood up and said, "Excuse me, I gotta go." I could notice that he got not mad, uncomfortable, and then Angie grabbed his arm, and he just pulled it away, and then said, "I'll come back for you." And he said, "A Happy New Year to everyone," and he left.
Jared managed to make a great impression not just in Uncle Irvin's eyes, but also in many other relatives and even Angie's colleagues. He came across as a loving and caring husband who planned a better life for himself and his wife. After renting a mobile home with their brothers, Angie was now living in the back of her in-laws' property with Jared. It was the beginning of a new chapter, one that was focused on starting a new chapter with a partner, while still providing for those she left behind. Nonetheless, it was only a matter of time before the culture clashes began. She was a sociable Nicaraguan woman who knew everyone at work, while he was a quiet Texan who didn't speak the language and didn't always get the humor. This created constant tension between the couple that eventually spilled out. When Angie's aunt, Edith Diaz, talks about an incident that happened over a holiday dinner, new details about Jared start to come to light.
Iban llegando y yo le serví el steak en el 31 de diciembre. Él nunca aceptó coca, se podría decir, casi nunca aceptó coca. De esas 4 veces que tuvo, siempre fue water. Yo lo miraba saludable. En un ratito después, se levantó y dijo, tengo que irme. Le dije, te dijimos, pero no has comido. Acá, me tengo que ir. Y él le dijo, voy a ir no sé dónde, le dijo a ella, ¿verdad? Y entonces salió. Y yo, el plato entero, casi entero, se había comido nomás un poquito. Yo la quedé viendo y dije, ¿qué pasó? Dije yo, maybe le molestó, pero inmediatamente. Y entonces yo, cuando salieron todos a los fireworks, mi esposo compró juegos para que los niños, para que los niños estuvieran fuera. Ella se quedó un ratito conmigo. Y fue donde me contó lo de los celos y that's when Angie told her about. Y le pregunté, ¿por qué se fue Jared? Y dijo, es que le molestó lo que usted dijo, él no entendió la broma y dice que cada vez que vienen se ríen mucho y él piensa que es de él. Y le digo, dile que los hispanos somos así. Y luego él se fue y antes de que contaran los 5, 3, 2, 1, Happy New Year, él llegó a traerla. Antes de contar el New Year's, él llegó a traerla.
Jared's behavior could be justified as a simple outburst of anger, a result of not understanding the language or culture of the person he married. But for Detective Bayani, that is nowhere close to a motive that could in any way incriminate Jared. What Edith shares next highlights red flags in Jared's behavior, warning signs some people saw, but failed to take seriously.
Dice Angie que cuando ella llegó a casa solo se durmió porque Jared trabaja de noche y él estaba dormido. Entonces cuando Jared se despierta y le quiere dar un beso, mira su cara y dice, ¿qué te pasó? Ella me dijo, Jared me está diciendo un montón de cosas y me está amenazando. And she told him,
no sé qué piensa él, pero es muy mal, puta.
Away from her Aunt Libertad and without a solid connection to her biological mother, Angie found in Edith the kind of bond she'd been craving. More than an aunt, she became the person Angie could vent to after a long shift, the one she trusted with the things she didn't dare say out loud to anyone else. If there's anyone in the family who knows the untold stories, the things Angie was trying to hide from the rest, it's her. In her effort to understand what happened to her niece, she's eager to share everything she knows. When the time comes to talk about Jared's behavior, she doesn't hold back, and her revelations paint a picture far from the nice, polite guy who was once introduced to the family.
Angie alguna vez le comentó a usted sobre él que haya tenido alguna
reacción violenta o rara. No, solo me comentó que él había leído un mensaje que a ella le había llegado y ella lo borró, pero que él lo encontró y le dijo, ¿por qué lo borraste? Y dijo, porque no tengo interés de hablar con él. Ella me dijo, es que es celoso, no quiere ni que trabaje en Betrayal, no quiere ni que trabaje en Chepes, no sé lo que quiere, yo no me puedo quedar en la casa porque no estoy para estar en la casa, yo quiero mi dinero. Ese día me contó, no me dijo qué día, pero me dijo, tía, un día discutimos y él me agarró la ropa y me dijo, vete. Y ella agarró la ropa y le dijo, ok, me voy porque esta es tu casa, me voy porque, y aparte yo no te pedí que arreglaras esto porque él invirtió dinero para arreglar donde vivía. Entonces, y le dijo a ella, yo no te pedí que gastaras tu dinero, yo no te pedí, te dije, esperemos a ver qué pasa. Yo estaba en un lugar con mis hermanos, tú pudiste ir a vivir conmigo allá donde yo compartía con mis hermanos la traila.
Jared's somewhat strange behavior reveals signs to Detective Bayani of what kind of man he is. Jealous, controlling, easily offended. But still, none of this is enough to place him as someone capable of decapitating the very woman he loved. However, another close person to Angie was her boss's own boss, Ruth. She had observed the relationship right from the start, and what she'll reveal next will represent a completely different picture from the happy marriage on the surface.
Él buscó la manera de acercarse mucho a ella, porque
controlling is not the word. It's trying to get close to her.
a ella le entró miedo que la podían deportar, porque
She became scared that she was going to get deported.
Entonces él dijo que él se casaba con ella para que pues él poder apoyarla en esa área.
And that Jared offered to marry her and support her in the area.
Fue que ya el comportamiento de ella no era inusual, ella no se reía, y yo le dije, o sea, ella tenía una cara siempre de alguien que tenía muchos problemas.
Okay. El mes antes, ¿de qué se refiere?
Al mes antes, digamos hace un mes atrás, ahorita,
Okay.
un mes atrás.
She's saying from...
Then, Ruth tells detectives something we haven't heard up until now that could incriminate Jared like nothing else.
Entonces aproveché y me quedé con ella un rato y le pregunté, oye, le digo yo, ¿por qué estás así? ¿Qué te pasó?
She asked her,
Y estaba otra compañera de cocina que se llama Erika.
Erica was there.
Y nos dijo que ella se iba a separar de él.
Ella le dijo a usted y a Erica. She told her and Erica that she's
que se iba a separar del muchacho
from
y que ella ya no se volvía a casar nunca.
And that she would never marry again. Cuando miró esos golpes, Angie le dijo cómo le pasó eso.
Sí.
Yes.
Ajá, dijo que habían estado discutiendo toda la noche, no la dejó dormir.
They didn't sleep.
Y eso fue el motivo que ella se miraba bien mal el lunes, porque eso fue domingo. Eso fue el domingo en la madrugada. Él no la dejó dormir porque estaban discutiendo, y dice que él se paró, como ella era bien pequeña, entonces dice que él la remachó así en la pared. Ajá. Y ahí fue donde daba el temorete. Ella me dijo que era en un filo de la pared de la regadera. Ella venía saliendo de bañarse y dice que él la agarró así y la remachó.
With Ruth's declaration, it becomes clear that Jared was an extremely jealous man who was already mentally and physically abusing Angie with his outbursts. Despite the initial statements that their relationship looked happy, the closest people to Angie knew otherwise. Angie's unusual, sad behavior and declaration that she was going to break up with Jared happened exactly 1 day before she was found dead. As EMT James Marshall and one of his colleagues entered the interrogation room, they walked detectives through what they saw at the scene, step by step. What they describe goes far beyond a moment of rage and forces investigators to ask whether what happened inside that house can really be explained by emotion alone.
Further, and I could see the rest of the body, and then I realized the patient did not have a head. At that point, my crew was coming up behind me. I stopped them. I said, back out, we're in a crime scene. And they said, they kind of looked at me and they realized the look on my face. They even told me later that, like, we saw the look on your face, we knew that there was nothing we were going to do, so they backed out.
Initially, I was going to ask, if she's down, then we need to check vitals and everything like that. He stated, no, she's down and there's no head on her body. Came out and told us that her body was there and her head was in the bathtub.
This is the same scene that forced Jared's parents to make the 911 phone call that would officially turn a family emergency into a homicide investigation. When they enter the room, the investigators will find out even more incredibly disturbing details that will provide ample evidence for what had happened even before this crime scene came into existence.
Yesterday, you and your son, y'all went to work?
Went to his work, yes.
Okay, and his work, where was that at?
His work, he works for an electrical company called Nationwide Electric, and they subcontract to the company who is rebuilding or remodeling Home Depots.
Okay.
She asked him for, and I don't remember the words that she used, his ID code or job order code or something, and he said, "I love you, Father." And she asked him, "What?" And I looked at him and I was like, I can't believe he just said that. And he looked at her and he said, "I love you, Father?"
So he wasn't looking at you, he was looking at
No,
her.
he was not looking at me, he was answering her question. Okay. And it kind of threw me back a little bit, and I said, "Jared, she needs your job number. It's on your phone." So he started working on his phone, and it looked like he was just despondent and distracted. Okay, and but as soon as he opened up the app and got the blueprints open and everything, he told her the job number, he told her the aisles that he needed to be on, and she said, "That's the information I needed. You gentlemen are welcome to go in." I think we left there a little after 3. It's about a 45-minute drive, and we drove straight home. We got home at 4.
Again, how was his demeanor during that time? I mean, did it...
Removed. Back to being removed. As soon as the job was over, he was back to quiet, despondent. He said, "I'll never give up again." And I said, "You're not supposed to give up. You're supposed to keep going forward." So whatever was bothering him over the last few days, or whatever was going through his mind over the last few days, I thought at the time that him going to work made him realize that, you know, you don't need to give up. You just need to, you know, and of course you just need to keep going forward, and I felt really relieved that he said that. And then we didn't talk anymore. He turned on the radio, and we listened to the radio until we got to the house.
Okay.
And as soon as we got to the house, I went into the house, and he went around to his house. And then I asked him, "What does he need?" He told me he needed his gun.
And what did you tell him?
Told him, "You're not getting that gun back right now while you're like this." I said, "What do you need your gun for?" And he did this. "I just need it." And I said, "That's it." And I went and woke his mother up. And I started asking her, "Who do we call?
Okay.
Do we take him to the hospital? Jared, do you want to go to a hospital? Do you want to go to a mental hospital? What do you want to do?"
On the same night of Angie's murder, Jared was with his father doing their electrician job, but incredibly disturbing details are immediately revealed. Jared was detached, spoke nonsense at times to other people, and told his father that he should never give up. He also requested his gun because he was suicidal. This is worrying because, according to his father, Jared was not feeling well and was hospitalized just a few days earlier. That is when he and his father separated at 4 a.m., but the story Rodney will tell next will reveal everything.
So he came into our bedroom, and we noticed that he had a phone that didn't look right. And what I mean by that is it didn't look like it was his phone. So we started questioning him about the phone. We didn't. Lynn started questioning him about the phone, and she finally got him to pull his phone out of his pocket, his front pant pocket. And it wasn't his phone, and she's like, "Whose phone is that?" "That's not your phone." "No, I have multiple phones." And she said, "Give me your other phone." And he pulled it out too, and she said, "That looks like Angie's." And that's when we jumped up, and I said, "Oh my God, what's going on?" And we ran out there. That's when we called. That's when I called 911. I opened the door and I walked in, and you couldn't see anything. And I took a step in, and I saw her laying on the floor. And that's when I told my wife. I said, "You don't want to come in here." And she came in. And I said, "Call 911." And I knew she wasn't going to be able to. I grabbed my phone and I started calling.
Where was Jared at that time?
He was in the house, laying in the floor crying when I got back, because I ran back to the house. I ran back to my house, and he was laying in the floor crying, and just crying. The fire truck got there first, the ambulance got there second, and she said she was going to stay on the phone with me until y'all got there. I was afraid that with what I think was going on and what had happened, I was afraid, he was going to run or try to hurt somebody, or I don't know what I thought, but I just wanted some help.
Rodney's story seems to corroborate with all the facts detectives have gathered, incriminating Jared entirely. But this is not enough to place the full blame on him yet. However, what his father will reveal next might be crucial evidence that could lead to a breakthrough in this investigation.
He kept saying that he was on meth. And then you would start grilling him about it, and then he would say, "I'm not on meth. I just told you that." But we had some experience with meth use, me and the wife. Not personal experience, but we had some experience going through family members on meth and dealing with them in the past, and it's horrible. It's awful. You and I have had this conversation before.
That was your other son.
That was my other son. And when Jared told us a couple of days ago that he was using meth now, that he had gone and gotten meth, and that's what was wrong with him, it just broke my heart, because that's the son that didn't do that stuff. Okay, he wasn't a perfect kid. He had some problems with alcohol. Not problems with alcohol, but when he would go out with his friends or something, that was a problem, because he would drink too much.
Right.
He started acting this way, and he started acting like what we watched my oldest son go through with his meth use. Not knowing reality, not telling you the truth. And he would convince us that he had gone and gotten meth, and that's what he was doing. He wasn't sure on how he was using it, because you'd ask him questions: are you smoking it? Are you shooting it? Do I need to look at your arms? How are you using this? Are you snorting it, smoking it, shooting it? What are you doing? I don't know. And things like that. It would be like, you would believe that he is, but then you would be like, he's not telling the right stuff.
Yeah.
So during all that, this last couple of days, he went to the ER in Tomball because he was on meth. And my wife was not happy, and I was not happy, because after finding out that you have an abnormal heart rate, why would you go do something like that?
Right.
Why? And that was the questions that we had for him. Why are you doing this kind of stuff? Why would you do that to yourself? And the last few days, so he didn't have an answer for that. But when he went to the ER in Tomball on Sunday, I told them that something was broken with my son. His mind was not working. And they said they were going to release him, that he was fine. And they didn't find any problems with his heart. And then they released him, even after I told him he's hearing voices. He's thinking that people are going to hurt him. The reason he can't stay in this hospital is y'all are going to kill him. And things like that. And the doctor questioned him about this stuff, and he told the doctor, yeah. And I told the doctor, please don't send him home. Let's send him somewhere. And instead they referred him to a psychiatrist, and that fast forwards to him getting these jobs and us going to work.
These details become crucial considering that methamphetamine and similar stimulants are known to trigger paranoia, hallucinations, and full-blown psychosis in some users, especially when mixed with sleep deprivation and alcohol. People can misinterpret sounds, feel watched, or become convinced that others are plotting against them. Jared's recent withdrawal, lethargic behavior, and the voices he claimed to hear could point to the effects of illegal substance use. His use of drugs is confirmed by the 911 call Jared had made just 3 days before the crime.
Yes, this is Jared Dykes. I did a little bit of drugs and I need help. I'm at Cisco College Boulevard.
Okay, 206 Oak Hollow?
Yes.
Okay, and what's the problem?
I just don't feel well.
The Deca's parents' statements, coupled with his proven case of drug use and disturbed mind, already represent powerful evidence. But a few days later, detectives will have much more powerful evidence than this. At the crime scene, they recovered a knife that, according to investigators, linked straight back to Jared's fingerprints, together with a cigarette that has his DNA. A toxicology report conducted later also shows us he tested positive for cocaine, marijuana, and other substances. All the evidence points to Jared alone, and Detective Bayani already has everything needed to reconstruct this horrific story. After the job with his father at 4 a.m., under the influence of narcotics and already spiraling into paranoia, Jared walked into that little house in the early hours of the morning. Angie was there, and somehow the couple got into an argument. Jared became increasingly aggressive towards her under the influence of drugs, and to protect herself, Angie grabbed a knife. That is when things escalated out of control. Jared attacked the short and frail Angie and took the knife out of her hand. Then, in a murderous drug-induced rage, he proceeded to stab her multiple times in the back, and, while she was still alive, he used a knife to completely decapitate her. Finally, he put her head in the tub, washed her hair, and put rags and towels over her body, followed with a cigarette after the murder, possibly to calm himself down. Most disturbingly, though, Jared can be seen just a few hours later, visiting the same store Angie worked at to grab a beer, which he refused to even pay for. He was staring at her coworkers right in the face, knowing what he had just done to their dear and happy friend.
Que ya no quise hablar con él porque el muchacho se alteró, me dijo, así es que mejor voy a esperar, me dijo, voy a hablar con él calmadamente. Ella iba a esperar que él estuviera calmado para decirle que ella se iba. Yo, en mi forma de pensar, yo pienso que eso fue lo que pasó, porque ya cuando él llegó a agarrar la cerveza que no pagó, él ya había hecho lo que había hecho, porque ella ya era hora que iba a entrar a trabajar.
Officers can reconstruct what had happened, but as Jared is taken into interrogation, they need to find out what kind of monster would do such a thing. Uncovering the key motive is incredibly important, as it would provide detectives with a good story in court and much-needed closure for her family on why Angie was murdered. But in the following interrogation, Jared would show just how disturbed he is, and a character nobody would expect of someone capable of decapitating his very own wife.
Do you want to tell me what happened?
Something just came in here. I was not doing that.
What was it telling you? If something came in there, what was it telling
you? What happened? It's a matter of how and what your mindset was, what your thought process was, what caused it. Did she make you mad? What happened?
Did you love her?
Despite interrogators asking Jared questions for over 30 minutes, he remains completely quiet, bursting into tears a few times. Jared may be staying quiet because of his tremendous guilt, or to prevent himself from revealing anything incriminating that would land him a longer sentence. This kind of behavior will not be tolerated by Detective Bayani, as she needs to establish a clear motive. After being extremely patient with Jared, the detectives will now try to press and break him to reveal everything.
Maybe you didn't love her, and she just deserved it. Because obviously you didn't care. You don't care now. Not enough to say what actually happened. I would think that she would be deserving of that, but if she's not deserving of that, then maybe she was a bad person. Just really got under your skin. That was the problem with her, wasn't it?
Nobody's just a bad person.
You were just a bad person? Or is she just a bad person?
Right now, and I'm going to be frank, is your one shot to show any kind of remorse and ask for mercy. And I will tell you, the way it looks to juries, when you sit here and you stonewall and you refuse to answer, it's a lack of remorse and a lack of taking ownership. And they don't like that. So if you're considering your own well-being in this situation after having murdered your wife, and
I
that's
just want to tell the people I'm really sorry. She didn't deserve that. Nobody ever does. Nobody deserves.
You gotta tell them why you did it.
saying I'm sorry but refusing to talk and take ownership of what you did, that's not good enough.
I just lost my way. I lost my way with God.
And if you don't want to talk about it, that's fine. But your opportunity to have any kind of looking like a good guy of this is what I did and I'm sorry and I can't believe I did it, that door is closing on you.
Look, I didn't do it.
You can't even keep a straight face, buddy.
At first, officers attempted to get Jared's confession by being friends, but when they saw him disengaged, they used a more aggressive strategy. The male officer attempts to guilt trip him into confession while Detective Bayani threatens him with the court of law. Nothing works, however, as Jared remains completely detached and even blatantly lies that he didn't do it. Jared is not speaking and frequently looking down, showing potential signs of guilt, but none of this means anything for the court unless a clear confession is extracted. So after pressing for over 40 minutes, the detectives got what they were looking for.
She's just looking right at you. You're just going to say, I'm sorry? You're not going to give an explanation as to why? You're looking at her in the eye, and you can't tell her why you did this?
I didn't have... I'm crazy. I was just up too long. Something that controlled me.
Okay, so it made you do what?
Something on...
What did it make you do?
On the screen. It was telling me.
Okay.
Telling me what to do.
What did it tell you to do?
It would say, like, stop time. Like, every time I would do something, it would stop.
Okay.
And time would stop. And then it was like I was being forced. Like, not my free will.
Okay, forced to do what?
Forced to just walk, forced to go.
Okay. What did it force you to do to her? What did it force you to do to what?
It forced me.
To what?
To kill her.
Why? What did it tell you to do to her? Did it tell you how to kill her?
Yes.
So how did you kill her? Tell us how you killed her.
I don't know because it wasn't Jared. It wasn't Jared.
Okay, so it wasn't Jared, it's somebody that was, you think, that caused you to do it. What did it cause you to do to her? What did you not mean to do? What did you do to her?
It wasn't Jared.
What did you do to her? Tell us. Get it out. What did you do? Let me tell you, what did you do?
What you saw.
What did I see? Tell me what I saw. I'm asking you.
Right. Cut her head off. That's what it made me do.
It made you cut her head off.
Jared claims that the drugs made him go crazy, and he developed some kind of voices in his head that made him decapitate Angie. But all of this could be an elaborate lie designed to plead not guilty by reason of insanity, which would land him the comfort of a psychiatric facility rather than a cold prison cell. The detectives know that this kind of defense is unacceptable in this case, with all the information they have, so they push Jared to admit the whole truth.
She was telling me to stop. And the TV, when I saw the numbers, it just made me follow.
Were you fighting because you were trying to rape her, or it was afterwards? How did the fight start? How did the knife get introduced? Walk us through that.
We got into a fight. She grabbed the knife. Finally.
So you took the knife from her, or what?
It's like if I didn't listen, it would make me throw up. It would make me hurt. It would make me hear a lot of noise. It would make me, I won't turn the wrong way. And I'd stop going that way. It was talking to me. The information was just getting in. And I didn't want it. It just kept coming and trying to scare me and scare me. And now I'm to the point where the little sounds that scare me.
Why did you put her head in the bathtub?
And you told me to.
Her hair was wet. How come?
Detective Bayani now has everything she needs to identify the motive. Jared had become extremely jealous, and coupled with the abuse of drugs, it led to an outburst that would ruin both lives forever. The only question that remains is whether Jared's plea for insanity would work. After all, he was heavily intoxicated, and the paranoid symptoms and aggression are hallmarks of drug abuse. After observing the comprehensive evidence, the court charged Jared Decas with first-degree murder. He was convicted in August 2024, but in an unusual twist, he waived his right to appeal or any potential defense, including the one for insanity. Jared expressed regret over the act of aggression influenced by drugs, which had ended Angie's life, and so he chose to take full responsibility in front of the law. He was ultimately sentenced to 40 years in prison, with the earliest parole eligibility being in 2043. The Diaz family lost a daughter, while the Decas family lost a son, and all their lives were ruined over a petty argument, drug abuse, and a senseless act of violence that will remain as an example of one of the most shocking cases in recent history. If someone able to decapitate someone they love is given only 40 years and the possibility of parole, then justice, I can firmly say, was not provided. If you enjoyed our production, check out this video next and subscribe to get every upload. Goodbye.